The purpose of today's audio is to discuss some of the best ways to reach inner peace. Before I really go into this podcast, achieving inner peace is about introspection. It's about looking inside. It's not about looking outward. So one of the first things you can do is start to have zero expectations from the rest of the world. Do that, you'll never be disappointed, ever. Also, because remember, this is about yourself, and looking inside and not the outside, I want you to consider tolerance of others. Tolerance of others, different groups of people. I know it's not always comfortable, but practice tolerance. It will reduce your anger, it'll reduce your frustration and your dissatisfaction. We're really making serious strides already on achieving that inner peace. Remember, since this is about your peace, I want you to stop competing with other people. Don't compare yourself with others. Compete with only yourself. Again, don't compare yourself with others. You're not in a race. You are here to live your life. And I want you to only compete with yourself. I need you to feel that you're the best and that you need to become better than the best. Don't expect too much from yourself either. Often we tend to forget about our own limitations. Another great tip, I want you to be happy with who you are and what you have. Appreciate yourself for what you are and what you have done. The reason I say this is because it's when you want. It is to want. It is to desire. To desire to want something that you don't have. That will cause jealousy. That will cause resentment. Not being satisfied. So it's so critical that you become less materialistic and just be happy with who you are and what you have. If you're always desiring to have something, the forbidden fruit, you'll never be happy. Okay, as I mentioned earlier in this podcast, it's about introspection. It's about looking inside and not looking outward anymore. One thing we have as human beings is we have a desire where we want people to appreciate us. We should appreciate what other people are doing, if they're doing something good. But we don't need to be too exceptional about it. When we are appreciating someone, you are doing it because we like them and we like what they're doing. We're happy for them. But we shouldn't expect them to appreciate us in return for whatever random thing that we are doing. So you understand, turn off this concept in your head that it needs to be a two-way street. You're just going to tangle yourself up and get yourself involved in something emotionally that it's just not necessary. So if you appreciate someone or what they're doing, just make sure it's genuine. Don't go too far above and beyond to praise them, because they might not reciprocate. And that's not going to help your inner peace. So have no expectations when you do that. And the good news about that is, people aren't dumb. They can see that when you do appreciate them as a person with inner peace, that it's coming from a genuine place. And they'll appreciate that. Something else I want you to do is start enjoying the small things. Start enjoying the small achievements. You'll feel more accomplished. You'll feel more confident. And one thing you shouldn't do is ever keep your happiness on contingent upon what someone else will do for you. Your ability to be happy, that ability should be able to stand on its own 2 feet, and it should lie on what you are able to do for yourself, not dependent on someone else. So, in other words, inner peace involves some independence aspect. It's reasonable to conclude that the more dependent you are on others, and especially if those others are not delivering, then that can have an impact on your inner peace. So for your own safety, for your own security, don't be too dependent on others. Okay, well, thank you for listening. That was pretty much the introduction, the foreword of this podcast, just to set the stage of what type of lens we need to be able to look at this through. Now that we've accomplished that, I would like to discuss things you need to let go of to find lasting inner peace. First thing is your need to always be right. There are so many of us who can't stand the idea of being wrong. Wanting to always be right, even at the risk of ending great relationships or causing a great deal of stress and pain for us and for others. We love to right fight. It's just not worth it. Whenever you feel the urgent need to jump into a fight over who is right and who is wrong, ask yourself this question. Would I rather be right, or would I rather be kind? What difference will that make? Is your ego really that big? Ultimately, everybody has their own perspective. Yours is only one, and it may be no more correct than another. Another way to explain this, the necessity of letting go of our need to always be right, is think about it in the inverse. Sometimes, especially as an attorney, as family law attorney, I deal with a lot of domestic violence, custody, divorce cases. I see a lot of patterns in my cases, and I'm able to, by observing these patterns and kind of having a deeper understanding of human behavior, I can sometimes, I know when somebody's lying to me or not being honest, and I could correct them, or I could be upset, or I could take it personally. But I guess the question is, how important is it to me to maybe risk being rude to someone if it's not necessary, especially if we're trying to settle the case and the thing that they weren't being honest with me about? Well, number one, I already knew about it. I already know the correct answer, so why do I need to jeopardize settling a case over something so trivial, especially if it doesn't really affect the outcome of the case? So that need to always be right, that's not the most virtuous approach. It's not always prudent. Okay, well, moving on. Next thing we should let go of to help us find lasting inner peace and peace of mind is the need for control. Be willing to let go of your need to always control everything that happens to you and around you, whether it's situations, events, people, etc. Whether they are loved ones, coworkers, or just strangers you meet on the street, just allow them to be. Allow everything and everyone to be just as they are, and you will see how much better that will make you feel. You can never control anybody but yourself. Lao Tzu can be quoted as saying, "By letting it go it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go, but when you try and try, the world is beyond winning. Okay, moving on. Next tip, or next thing we should let go of to help us find lasting inner peace is our need to blame or point fingers. Give up on your need to blame others for what you have or don't have, for what you feel or don't feel. Stop giving your powers away and start taking responsibility for your life. Blame is only self-judgment for things you cannot accept in your own life. Another thing we should let go of is our self-defeating self-talk, or negative self-talk. How many people are hurting themselves because of their negative, polluted, and repetitive self-defeating mindset? Don't believe everything that your mind is telling you, especially if it's negative and self-defeating. You are better than that. You are divine and very powerful creator. Start recognizing that. Next thing you should let go of is your limiting beliefs about what you can or cannot do, about what is possible or impossible. Don't allow your limiting beliefs to keep you stuck in the wrong place. Spread your wings and fly. I think it was famously said in Shakespeare. His Shakespeare's tragedy, Julius Caesar. It was famously said, "It's not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves." Meaning, we should not be fated to be puppets, but rather to take control of our own destiny. So back to my point about limiting beliefs about what we can or cannot do. So if someone tells you, because you are male or because you're female or because you're a particular race or you have a certain zodiac sign that you can't do something or that you're somehow stupid, don't let that affect you. Don't let that affect your inner peace. Don't think that your fate is based off of something outside of your control. That's not the case. We are all masters of our own destiny, and your destiny is not in the stars, but it's in yourself. So you need to take, like they say, suck it up, buttercup. You need to take charge and ownership of your life, and so you can finally spread your wings and fly. Okay, that was limiting beliefs. Now the next thing we need to let go of, and this is going to be a big one, is our concept of truth. Truth is 360 degrees. Everybody has their own version of the truth along that path, and your version is no more correct than another. Your version of the truth is dictated by your path and learning experiences, which is completely defined by your state. This is why we are so unique and capable of creating our own realities. We are what we think. It is much wiser to agree to disagree than impose your truth on another person whose learning experience may be the polar opposite of your own. After all, your truth is only your truth, not anyone else's. Something else you should let go of to help your inner peace is your complaining. Give up your constant need to complain about those many, 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 many things, whether it's people, situations, events that make you unhappy, sad, and depressed. Nobody can make you unhappy. No situation can make you sad or miserable unless you allow it to. It's not the situation that triggers those feelings in you, but how you choose to look at it. It is your perspective. Never underestimate the power of positive thinking. Okay, next thing I want you to let go of in order to improve your ability to achieve inner peace is your criticism. Give up your need to criticize all things, events, or people that are different than you. We are all different, yet we are all the same. We all want to be happy, we all want to love and to be loved, and we all want to be understood. We all want something, and something is wished by us all. When you criticize, you are again passing self-judgment for something lacking in your life that you refuse to let go of. Next thing I want you to let go of is your guilt. Guilt is a trick of the mind. It is a game your mind plays with you, and it's not very much fun. It brings your attention to ways in which you may be out of integrity, doing wrong, and not honoring yourself, others, or the universe at large. Accept responsibility for yourself, your life, and your actions. You are responsible. You are an adult. You are accountable, meaning with every action you take, you account for it. You chose to do it. You must accept the consequences of it, and you did it all for a reason, to learn. If you continue to feel guilty, you stop learning. Okay, next thing you need to let go of is your need to impress others. And remember, towards the beginning of my podcast, I premised the entire podcast as stating that this is about introspection. It's about looking inside. Start looking inside and stop looking outward. So this is a valuable tip when I say let go of your need to impress others. Stop trying so hard to be something that you're not just to make others like you. The moment you stop trying so hard to be something that you're not, the moment you take off all your masks, the moment you accept and embrace the real you, you will find someone will be drawn to you effortlessly. Success may have nothing to do with how much money you have or how many cars you have, but how you choose to live a life of abundance, which comes in many forms, many of which have nothing to do with material things. Next thing I want you to let go of, and this is a big one, and I see it a lot, is your resistance to change. You have to let go of your resistance to change. Change is good. Change will help you move from A to B. Change will help you make improvements in your life and also the lives of those around you. Follow your bliss, embrace change, don't resist it. This will really disturb your inner peace if you let it. Remember, don't expect the environment to adapt to you. It's never going to. You have to adapt to your environment. That's what got the dinosaurs in trouble. That's why they're no longer here today. They didn't adapt fast enough. They don't expect the environment to change for you. You have to change for it. Especially, I'm an Army veteran. I served overseas. I served in Iraq. One thing, that will get you in trouble is following doctrine too closely. If you do, because remember, the field manuals, the battlefield environment is not going to adjust to fit the field manuals. The field manuals are the methodology and the tactics and the techniques. Those things have to change and evolve and adapt to an ever-changing battlefield, if that makes sense. That is survival. That is evolution. So an inability to evolve is a type of resistance to change, and I said in order to help you achieve inner peace, you have to let go of your resistance to change. Okay, moving on. Your perceived pain. All pain is perceived, and we all perceive it differently. It affects us all differently. You cannot interpret the pain of others unless you have experienced the same pain, for example, losing a child. It allows us to grow and shatter barriers that would otherwise be impossible beyond the painful event without some semblance of pain in our lives. It is difficult to learn. When we let go of our pain, life changes and flows in ways we never dreamed possible. If you think you can't get rid of your pain, you are only confirming your self-limiting beliefs and why the pain is there in the first place. Okay, next thing I need you to let go of is your labels. Stop labeling those things, people, or events that you don't understand as being weird or different, and try opening your mind. Little by little. Minds only work when open. Next, your fears. I need you to let go of your fears. Fears is just an illusion. It doesn't exist. You created it. It's all in your mind. Correct the inside and the outside will fall into place. Most of the limiting factors on this stem from fear. Release your fear and everything will change in your life almost simultaneously. Many successful people have achieved great heights only because they have let go of their fear of success. I will say though, if when I have a big court date or a big court trial, sometimes I'm a little nervous, and the only way to really face that fear is you just have to let go of your fear of making mistakes, if that makes sense. Because when you're in the courtroom, that's when the rubber finally meets the road, and the opposing counsel is trying to destroy my argument. I'm trying to destroy their argument. And they will find holes here and there, and I'll find holes here and there in their argument. So best thing you can do is just don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just do your damn best. Fear is just something that's going to eat you up and waste your time and just be a distraction. Okay? Next, your excuses. I need you to let go of your excuses. Send those excuses packing and tell them they are fired. You no longer need those excuses. A lot of times we limit ourselves because of the many excuses we use. Instead of growing and working on improving ourselves and our lives, we get stuck lying to ourselves, using all kinds of excuses that most of the time are not even real. We sabotage ourselves beyond belief. If you find yourself making excuses, ask yourself why you are creating the excuse in the first place. Okay, next one is going to be big. Your past. Let go of your past. We often assume the past looked so much better than the present and the future looks so frightening. But you have to take into consideration the fact that the present moment is all you have and all you will ever have. The past you are now longing for, the past that you are now dreaming about, was ignored by you when it was present. Stop deluding yourself. Be present in everything you do and enjoy life. After all, life is a journey, not a destination. Have a clear vision for the future. Prepare yourself, but always be present in the now. Work on this by practicing with simple tasks every day. For example, when you cut the grass, just think about the grass and nothing else. When you are washing the dishes, immerse your full presence in dishwashing. Eventually, your life will revolve around your day today, not yesterday. Next thing I want you to let go of is your attachments. This is a concept that for most of us is so very difficult to grasp, but it's not something impossible. You get better and better with time and practice. The moment you detach yourself from all things, and that doesn't mean you give up your love for them, because love and attachment have nothing to do with one another. Attachment comes from a place of fear, while real love is pure, kind, and selfless. Where there is love, there can't be no fear. And because of that, attachment and love cannot coexist. You become so peaceful, so tolerant, so kind, and so serene. You will get to a place where you will be able to understand all things without even trying. A state beyond words. Next things I want you to let go of is your resentment. Let go of your internal resentment towards people, situations, and events. If you hold a grudge, you only take power away from yourself and learning stops. Your resentment towards anything is a result of all of the limiting qualities on this page. Learn how to forgive. This is true strength. Okay, last thing I want you to let go of in order to help yourself achieve inner peace is your expectations of yourself and others. Let go of any expectations of yourself that will limit your growth. If you hold high expectations for how others should behave, you will often be disappointed if they do not present themselves in a manner you expected. It is only your expectations of people that cause you to judge them, which ultimately is a judgment of yourself. Far too many people are living a life that is not theirs to live. They live their lives according to what others think is best for them. They live their lives according to what their parents think is best for them, to what their friends, their enemies, and their teachers, their government, and the media think is best for them. They ignore their inner voice, the inner calling. They are so busy with pleasing everybody, with living up to other people's expectations, that they lose control over their lives. They forget what makes them happy, what they want, what they need, and eventually they forgot about themselves. You have one life, this one right now. You must live it, own it, and especially don't let other people's opinions distract you from your path. Thanks for listening. Please consider subscribing.